President Obama says the terror group that kidnapped more than 300 Nigerian schoolgirls is, quote, a pernicious problem inside that country. Boko Haram threatens to sell the girls into slavery.
Intelligence officials are worried this organization linked to al-Qaeda may try to reach into other nations. CBS News security contributor Mike Morell is a former deputy CIA director. Boko Haram was one of his priorities at the agency. Mike, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me begin with Nora with some sense of what the United States might do. And she has a question with respect to where you think this might come from, what the United States might do.
Yeah, Charlie and I were talking about this because the president said clearly to Megan Glaros, he said, we're going to do everything we can. What's everything we can do?
So I think what it means is we can provide intelligence support. We can provide intelligence guidance on trying to figure out where these girls are. And then once we find them, we can help the Nigerians think about how to deal with the situation. And that is absolutely the right thing to do, I think. But I think you also have to think about the unintended consequences. And a high-profile U.S. support here could blow back on us in terms of having this group start focusing on Americans.
But
Tell us, go ahead.
What's the likelihood that we'll find these girls?
So I think the longer it takes, the less likely we're going to find them. I think some of them have already been sold into slavery, and every day that goes by, more will be sold into slavery.
But who are these guys? What do they want, Mike?
So they are both an insurgency in northern Nigeria, meaning they are fighting the Nigerian military for territory, and they are a terrorist group. And what they want is they want a conservative Islamic government in northern Nigeria. They don't want to take over all of Nigeria, just the northern part of Nigeria, and run it in a conservative, ideological, Islamic way.
Are they sophisticated? Go ahead, go ahead.
What is their larger threat?
The larger threat is that they have been engaged in discussions with al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb, which is an al-Qaeda-related group, and with al-Shabaab in Somalia, which is also an al-Qaeda-related group. They have trained together. Those two al-Qaeda groups have encouraged them to attack Western interests. They have done so inside Nigeria. My concern is that someday they may do it outside Nigeria.
And so why can't they be shut down? Are they a sophisticated group? It's mind-boggling that they're able to get away with this time and time again.
The Nigerian military simply does not have the reach into northern Nigeria that it needs to deal with this problem.
And there is but great cooperation now between the Nigerian government and the United States government to do something.
There always has been behind the scenes. It's just now a little bit more visible.
Yeah. Is this also, when you look at the fact that we have seen, and it's not new, to see young women sold into slavery, but is this a newer tactic? Is this an enlarged tactic on the part of terrorist groups?
This group has conducted a number of attacks against schools, both girls' schools and boys' schools. There was an attack against a boys' school just a few weeks ago. Dozens were killed. So they have attacked schools. They have done kidnappings before on a small scale, not this large.
The U.S.
Schools,
has
why?
Because they believe that any sort of education is anti-Islamic.
The U.S. has been reluctant in the past to use military forces and others to get involved in regional conflicts or other fights in Africa in the past, specifically Darfur and other examples. But why not in this instance? And do you think this administration might go further in this instance because it involves young girls? Do you think there might be some special forces used?
I don't think so, because the group at the moment does not pose a direct threat to the United States. So I don't think so.
And so do you think they'll use drone technology to help?
I think we might be willing to use drones to try to help find the girls, but not to conduct any sort of action.
And so when they say there's a team being sent, law enforcement and military, who's in that military team?
Advisors, planners, people who might help them think about how would we go in and conduct a rescue operation should we find these girls.
We're talking about Nigeria and Africa. This is one more example of sort of the broad spread, sense of where terrorism is other than in the Middle East.
Correct. And this is one of the places where the al-Qaeda ideology has taken root over the last 10 years. This whole group is rooted in deep, deep frustration in northern Nigeria. Northern Nigeria is Muslim, southern Nigeria is Christian. The northern part of Nigeria does not feel that it gets the benefits of the economic resources in the south.
And one of the richest countries in Africa.
Correct.
Absolutely, yeah. Mike Morell, fascinating. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.